Alright, welcome back to the channel, everybody. And today's episode is another freaking yap thing that I did yesterday, according to those videos posting on Friday. Um, Today, I got a friend with me to talk about a topic of nostalgia. Because after the gloomy video of yesterday that I pretty much talked to myself for, uh, I don't know how well that's gonna go, but it might go somewhere. Today I figured something a little bit more lighter is in order, so today I brought a friend to talk about nostalgia. And today's nostalgia is gaming nostalgia. Because with gaming nostalgia, me and my friend, we go back to middle school. And we use gaming as a way of bonding. Especially in the times of, well, dark ages, aka school days, where we would both be kind of picked on, and I picked on him to vent my anger on. And that's a topic for a stream, not for this. So, to go away from that, the games that we truly bonded over are pretty much two things: World of Warcraft and Pokemon. Though he took Pokemon a little bit more seriously as I've taken World of Warcraft more seriously. So we're going to blend the two topics today and talk about how bad he sucks at World of Warcraft and how shitty I am at Pokemon compared to him.
Oh,
So,
come on. Dude, you're talking to a guy who does not touch a competitive scene in either one of these.
no, but you know a lot more than me. And I'm talking about the way of this and put it in perspective for my viewers. I've only made it to Gen 5 before I fucking gave up on Pokemon as a whole to understand the story and everything else. Because the Pokemon that started coming out was less and less inspired and more like a sentient garbage bag.
Oh, come on. You know nowadays, Trubbish has its fans, and people love that little thing.
I don't care. I thought Muck was the embodiment of, it could not get worse than that. And it did. And it did.
Okay. You want me... You look me dead in the eyes right now and tell me that Garbodor and Trubbish are better than Muck. No, wait, no, let me rephrase that. They are worse than Muck and Grimer?
Yes.
Okay, alright. Okay, now you just now you're just spitting. You ain't spitting facts. You spitting.
Let me put it to you this way, Logan. Think about this long and hard. Muck body is literally toxic waste, and it can knock out any Pokemon that gets absorbed by it or even touches it the wrong way, including people. Can Trubbish do that?
Have you seen what Garbodor's G-Max form can do?
No.
It's got literal buildings in it.
I don't know. A poison touch to me is a little bit more up the ante compared to anything else. Just saying.
You can't. No one takes Pokedex entries seriously. No one does. Ever since Macargo being labeled as hotter than the surface of the sun.
No, listen. Some people care about it. I mean, especially the darker type of Pokemon, like the ghost types. Those are pretty dark.
But yet they're ghost types, not dark types. But
Well, I mean, some of their origin stories is pretty dark.
oh yeah, we don't talk about like stuff like Phantom.
No, but it's there, and you can't ignore that.
Nope, we cannot ignore the dead children.
Never. That is the one thing I think that is something that you should never do, is forget about the dead children.
Should say that to a FNAF person.
Good day to you.
You know, I think Pokemon should obligate itself to have a ghost type trainer and name him William and give him a purple suit.
Oh god, we do. Honestly, with how many ghost type trainers actually incorporate purple into their aesthetics, you're not too far off.
Right?
Yeah, aside from Phoebe, every ghost type specialist usually incorporates purple into their design.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, me and my weirdly enough, me and my girlfriend actually had a discussion about like ghost type aesthetics. Or even jokingly thinking about making a tier list of which gym leaders and Elite Four members actually fit their aesthetics.
I'm sure there's a few aesthetics in there. Aesthetics.
Yeah, but then there's like Phoebe, who's a hula dancer. How is that a ghost type specialist?
Uh, well, isn't she a part of the Lohawk kind of thing or whatever?
No, she is. She's Gen 3. She's Sinnoh, not Sinnoh, Hoenn.
I see. Yeah, I wouldn't know anything about it. Remember, I only made it to
But
black and white, and then I kind of
yeah,
gave up.
Phoebe is Generation 3. That's Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald,
I didn't pay attention.
bro.
You need
You think I paid
Yeah,
attention to
but
that? I just played games.
oh gosh. Yeah, I took Pokemon way too seriously because for one, whenever something in 2022 possessed me to play one Pokemon game of every generation and post it to iFunny of all places.
I cannot imagine why you would do such a thing to yourself, but I just kind of respect that because
Yeah,
I
and
would
weirdly enough,
because I wouldn't.
I still use iFunny and post there.
Yeah, I
So
know. And ironically, guys, I know. Nah, I'm just kidding. We're both
no,
iPhone
no,
users here, and I'm sure
yeah,
I'm sure that my viewers are probably iPhone users too. We'll
fart
figure
as
that
ship
we'll,
fart.
we'll figure that one out later when I figure out what kind of people watch my stuff.
Actually, you want to hear something kind of like some wholesome nostalgia video game related I just did?
Okay.
So, for the people that don't know me, I work at a retro video game shop near where me and Chachi live. And one of the things that's been staring me in the eyes while I'm at work is a copy of NASCAR Thunder 2003 on GameCube. And it's for some reason it possessed me to buy that game because whenever I was a kid, it was one of like two video games my dad enjoyed playing on my GameCube.
Hey,
So it
so yeah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, just specifically NASCAR Thunder 2003. Any other NASCAR game can go die in a hole. just 2003 gets that special pass.
Yeah, screw the 1990s and early 2000s, more and less. Just freaking 2003. No, I
Yep.
understand. I know your position. I understand your position in that. Now, there's one thing about me that you probably vaguely know, maybe not know, because I don't talk about it. But before I got crazy into World of Warcraft, I was a gamer before that, which should be obvious to most people. I'm
Mm-hmm.
playing games right now. But beside the point. Um, no. Before I fell in love with RPG, I was a big racing fanatic fan. I love racing games. Still do. I don't play them as often as I used to, but it was something that has always been a part of my life. Now, I've played the old games and stuff like that. I mean, PlayStation 1. My favorite racing game of all time, and it was actually one of my first racing games, was the original Hot Wheels race games. Now, trying to remember the name of it is pretty rough considering of how many Hot Wheel games there are.
Even to this day.
Yes. But I'm going to find it real quick just for this video because I feel obligated to do it now. Um, the game, original game, was called... Let me just do that. It was called Turbo Racing. Now, I grew up poor. Pretty damn poor. In my last video, I've mentioned that, my parents never got together. My grandparents adopted me. That was a whole topic, Logan. But,
Yeah.
it's just the truth. When I
Yes.
lived with my mom, who neglected the fuck out of me, she decided to give me video games to appease me, to pander to me, and tell me, hey, everything's fine. You don't need to worry about anything. Neglecting the fact that after she would make me play video games, she would leave the house to do her business, as I call it, in quotes. I think anybody who's got a brain can understand what kind of quote-unquote business I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, put your head in the gutter for a little bit, you'll figure it out. But the original game that I played was Turbo Racing. Now, Turbo Racing was not revolutionary for its time at all. It was a normal Hot Wheels game with a Hot Wheels themed track and everything else. And what it did was pretty much Mario Kart, but a Hot Wheels related type of thing. They didn't have power ups though, but they had hidden vehicles. Now, Easter eggs was not a common thing, and to unlock things back then, you actually had to experience the game to unlock them. And during this time for racing games, that was not really a thing. Most racing games at the time required you to beat the game a certain amount of races, an amount of time, and every so often you unlock a car. Well, Hot Wheels Turbo Racing was different. And different among the fact that you had to, quite legitimately, find side roads on the map. You have to take shortcuts, and when you take these hidden shortcuts, it'll give you a ghost car emblem, and it will tell you what car you've unlocked at the end of the race. So you literally had to play the matches, play the racetracks, to find hidden vehicles that are just sprawled out everywhere across the board to unlock new cars. Now, granted, this is old school racing games, so there was no extra special power-ups that go with vehicles. There was no one car was better than the other. In fact, most things was just the difference in acceleration and turbo and handling. That was it. And most of these hidden cars weren't really special either. You didn't have to get them to win pretty much every race. But it was there. And I used to be big into that. I played it. Now, I say poor, and I mean this because I did not own this game. I got it from a store called Movie Gallery. Rest in peace, because that stuff's gone.
Long gone.
It is. It got replaced by a AutoZone. Sad. But it sort of worked out in a way that I would just rent the game, play it for a week, and then we'd have to turn it in which I would go back to the shelf and get the game again because I liked the game. I didn't care for any other games. Crash Bandicoot, fuck out of here. The fucking do I want to sit down and play Legend of Zelda? No, I don't. I got a PlayStation. I ain't got time for that. No, I Mortal Kombat. That was a line that my mother, despite wanting to neglect me as much as possible, decided, I'm too young for that. So, she was at least a bit of aware. But the racing games was all around. So, she understood my love for the racing games, and my dad did too. My dad gave me racing games all the time, and not just normal racing games. We also got snowboarding games. We got jet ski games. We got boat games. We got all sorts of different types of racing games. As long as it was a racing genre, I'd play it. And the one thing I didn't play, though, was NASCAR games that Logan talked about. Because I didn't really care for NASCAR.
I think my dad only bought NASCAR Thunder just because he wanted to play that, which he was the only one that really did.
So, yeah, it's not for everybody. So, my mother, in her infinite wisdom, decided to buy me a Hot Wheel game. Not the game that I wanted, which was Turbo Racing, permanently. No, she got me a different game called Hot Wheels Extreme Racing. And
Which one was that?
this one was your more of a Mario Kart clone. You had power-ups, and these power-ups would give you missiles, landmines, shit, I forgot what else it gave. It gave a significant amount of power-ups. But the one unique feature is that it stressed the limit of PlayStation 1. Because of a unique interaction. The maps were not all one sort of type of map. They wouldn't be all ground maps. There would be canyons that you have to go through, and you didn't just drop down into the canyon to do it. Your car would jump off of a cliff edge and morph into a plane-like vehicle version of itself, and you would have to fly. Same goes for water terrain. There'll be times where you have to cross rivers or lakes, and your car will hit the ground, hit the water's edge and instantly turn into a boat version of itself. And you have to race through that while also grabbing weapons to fight off people. So it was one of those types of games that revolutionized the idea of multi-purpose racing, but it stressed the PlayStation 1 to the point to where it was running at, I think it was 20 FPS to 10 FPS, because it just couldn't load it all in one go. And sometimes when you had to switch vehicles, it would lag out, and just not work. And you would crash. And then you'll respawn as the appropriate vehicle for that terrain. It got there in the end, but it just didn't work most of the time. But it kind of set the stage for what future Hot Wheel games would turn into. Especially with the one series that me and Logan really enjoy, and that is Hot Wheels, what is it, Highway 35?
I think it was 35. It was Highway something, but dear God, did we love that basically the Accelerator's timeline.
Yes.
And we're both
yeah.
we're both still upset that it ended on that damn cliffhanger.
I will agree, the cliffhanger sucks. But what can you do?
You can't just show Vert meeting his dad and just expect us to forget about that.
No.
But that's a topic for another day.
That is a topic for another day. So, I love racing games, and that was a big thing. And I really did not play any RPGs until my dad introduced me to an RPG. Now, my dad tried to give me a game that he think I would enjoy, which in the end I did enjoy. It wasn't the game I wanted, but it was a game I got, and it was called Test Drive 5. Test Drive 5. Yes.
Hey, how many Test Drive games are there?
8.
Jeez.
I think it's 8. And then the company went bankrupt because it didn't sell enough. But it's sad. But the one thing that really gripped my head to Test Drive 5, Logan, is not that it was a racing game, but because of its soundtrack.
Oh yeah, no, racing games and their soundtracks are always the best thing. Like, I will admit, like at least one thing we can both agree on is that the Need for Speed games are pretty good, but a lot of them do have some pumping soundtracks, and I think that I will still admit that Need for Speed Underground 2's soundtrack is probably one of the best ones.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, no, racing games and soundtracks go so hand in hand because they just give the vibe of pretty much every racing game a personality that is so unexpected.
Yeah. And sometimes I think there are certain games out there that are just terrible. You don't want to play them, but the soundtrack that goes with it kind of motivates you to keep going.
Well met.
Yeah.
And I have met many games like that. But it happens. And sometimes the soundtrack is pretty much all you need.
Need help?
But
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm just agreeing with you
Uh-huh.
on that one.
I thought you were gonna add something. But anyway.
I guess
Oh, you were. Go for it. Go for it. Add something.
I feel like just depending on like the action of something, like whenever you get those high-paced, upbeat tracks that just make you go, "All right, now we're getting into the tune of it," and you just want to go ape shit forward. Like, again, back to Underground 2, like, I will... Anytime I have to start a race and I just start hearing the intro guitar to Black Betty of all things, I just get a little bit of a giggle and just go, "Oh, we're about to have some fun."
And that can be a blessing in some cases.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing about freaking the game that I was just talking about, Test Drive 5, is that the soundtrack is unique in a way of that it introduced me to international music. Fear Factory is an American-ish kind of company. They sing in English, but they have KDFM in it. KDFCM, I think it is. Something like that. It is a German anarcho band that nobody would have probably figured out existed unless you were there when they came out. or played games that have their music in it, because nobody would have understood German in the United States to know what songs were about. And it was really Rammstein that kind of broke the barrier.
Yeah, the Du Hast breaking everyone. I guess in the weirdest terms, busting people's cherries to German music.
And we all found out that freaking Germans and the Swedes and the Norwegians came out with really some banging metal music. Just saying.
Oh yeah, they did. The the Scandinavians and the Europeans definitely have some poppin' metal music.
Yeah, they can. And I respect it about them because, believe me, there's some songs that are just metal today in the United States that is just not metal to me.
Yeah, it's I think
Especially hard rock. Like,
yeah,
we grew up in a time where the biggest popular hard rock, sort of metalish kind of bands were Slipknot and Korn, and we loved them. But then it evolved into something like Pierce the Veil, Asking Alexandria, and it just become less and less and less sounding like metal and alt rock, and more like some sort of subgenre of just alternative rock that kind of broke away when the bands kept saying, "Yeah, we're a metal band," but not performing actual metal.
yeah,
And it kind of did pave the way in that regard. I will not lie. I think it really did pave the way for the Norwegians and the Germans to come up with metal that was metal and become popular from it.
yeah. And then they get thrown into the most random of video game soundtracks and become those cult classics.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, now that I think about it, hold on. I gotta find a YouTube comment that actually kind of relates to this. Because, okay, weird side story. When I was a kid, I found this one. I was into weird Godzilla videos for a while. And there was this one that just had this song that I loved, but I could never find the actual song. And then that video got deleted for some reason, and that song remained stuck in my head for a decade.
I'm sure it was deleted for copyright.
Yeah, that's what I'm good. That's what I'm assuming. But hold on,
That
let's
would
see
be
here.
my guess.
Let's see here. A New Disease is the name of the song. I know, weird name. It's a New Disease by Spine Shake.
Yeah,
And
that's
weirdly,
definitely underground because I would never know that.
yeah, but for weird context, so I leave a comment just saying like I finally found this song after a decade, and a lot of people were bringing up something from a Sean Palmer game that had this song in its soundtrack. Let me double check.
Huh.
And apparently it was even in yeah, it's a Sean Palmer game demo that was in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 of all things.
I think they're remaking that game.
Yeah, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 are going to be remade together, kind of like how they did the 1 and 2 one recently.
Yeah, Blizzard's trying to make amends by bringing that back, I guess. I don't know. But I doubt they're going to have the original soundtracks.
Yeah, I know one of the problems is that they can't bring back someone like Bam Margera, but granted, dude fell off.
Yeah, he did. I don't like
We,
I don't like knocking people, but yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like, I mean, they're like, I feel like if you were on a on a show like Jackass, you either become one of the funniest down to earth people that could ever exist, or you just turn and Steve-O,
And Steve-O.
or you can just literally turn into a complete and utter asshole.
Yeah. And I think that comes with brain damage. Because those guys
Yeah.
really did hurt each other.
Yeah. Yeah, but even then, the stuff like this, again, it just shows how cool a soundtrack can definitely be. And like with all the things I'm seeing right now with like the Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake, it definitely does seem like they're still trying to keep that hype with all the older rock music that's in it.
I hope so, because I will definitely play it. I played Tony Hawk Underground 2. one of my favorite skate games that I have ever played, and it wasn't even mine. It was my cousin's. Not Connor, my other cousin who turned out gay for attention. And now I guess he's gay now. Kind of weird. Yeah, that's a whole story I'm going to talk about at some point. Um, yeah, it's definitely a story. And I do mean that with wholehearted prejudice, too. He faked being gay and ended up playing into it a little too hard.
He literally said, "Fake it till you make it,"
Yes.
and then the lie or quote unquote lie got too deep.
He found a stable dude who was gay, had a lot of money, and became a quote unquote sugar daddy to him, to which he said, "Fuck it, I guess I'm gay."
Okay, that's definitely a discussion for another day.
Yes, it is a whole discussion for another day, and that will be definitely something I will talk about at some point.
Okay, how about I bring up a wholesome cousin story then with a video
Awesome
game
cousin
and
story. Yeah, sure. Go for it.
okay, one of my personal favorite memories with old video games with my cousin was this was my cousin Michael, and we would always play Mario Kart Double Dash together.
Good day to
Mario
you.
Kart Double Dash. That sounds familiar, but I can't place it.
That's the one where you get to choose like two characters on one cart,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yes.
with its multiplayer, you could actually make it so that one player was always the driver, and then one player was basically the gunner, because you always had two characters on the carts at one time.
Right.
Which is still something I feel like Nintendo should definitely bring back. If you're bringing back double items, bring back the double dash mechanic.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like they should.
Me and Michael, we would always play together as kids, and he would always be the driver, and I would always be the gunner.
Well, I mean, hey, make it
Yeah.
make it work.
Yeah, we never really went anywhere past like 100cc, so we were only playing like at best on medium difficulty. But I mean, what kid is playing on 150cc?
Yeah, I don't know. No, that definitely is something different. Um,
Oh god.
well, I mean, we could get onto the topic of great soundtracks again. I mean, one of the best soundtracks in video games I heard besides Test Drive 5 was actually a motocross game.
MX versus ATV.
MX Unleashed.
Ah.
This was before the ATV. Now, not a lot of people know about this game because it's not very popular compared to all the other types of stuff that they pushed out recently. But MX Unleashed was definitely a game, and it was an original Xbox game. I mean, original Xbox game. When the original Xbox first came out, it was actually one of the first 10 games, I think, or first 5 games to release for that console. Specifically for the console. So it was one of them exclusives, in quotes. It had a really good soundtrack. In fact, I actually scrounged up a lot of the songs that were on there on that list and made my own goddamn playlist for it. Because it's just that good. What's another game that has a great soundtrack that I've played before? That's gonna be hard to think about because a lot of racing games like that and all that kind of stuff does make multiple lists. I mean, I could go with the classic, like, oh yeah, all of the freaking Pokemon games have great soundtracks, but that seems like it's kind of like.
Well, I mean, even then, like with Pokemon games, it's kind of like a debate. Like right now, I mean, shameless self plug. If you go to my channel, I'm currently playing through like Pokemon Red and Pokemon Crystal. And as much as these games are good, like I sometimes can't take the soundtracks seriously.
Yeah, I can't either.
Like, so I recently played through Pokemon Red, and one of the things that actually kind of irked me a bit is that when I went to the Safari Zone, the entire music was just the looping soundtrack of the Evolution song.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty lazy.
Yeah, you know that dun 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 dun.
I do.
Yeah, that almost made me have an aneurysm.
Oh, I can imagine.
At least like Crystal, like I'm playing Crystal right now, and the soundtrack is a lot better. But dear God, Red, Blue, and Yellow, like bless their souls for what they are. But there are some times where I'm just like, wow, they really had to grasp at straws.
They really do, and some songs like that are pretty much like that. And
Yeah, there's definitely
it can be helped, but they won't help it.
yeah, no, it's definitely a victim of the old phrase of product of its time.
True. But
But
and these are discussions that I'm planning on doing. I want to do more Yap content because playing video games and talking about video games can sometimes be a drain. But and every once in a while I do want to incorporate some voices into my channel like I do with my streaming. But this time I'm going to do it with a much more broader audience that I can grab rather than being alone inside chat room. So, that's sort of the deal here, Logan. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to probably use Nip at some point. I'll probably use somebody else to talk about stuff with because I'm
possibly.
bored.
I think at least like people like Nip and Hara, like they're two people that are pretty close to us. As long as they can turn their filters on,
Yeah,
that's the only thing.
I'm pretty sure.
What can I
I'm
do?
pretty sure that Hara will have much more interesting stories, considering he's in his 30s.
And he's in California.
And that right there is a bundle of story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we live in the Appalachian Mountains. A whole lot of nothing happens here.
A whole lot of everybody leaving and everything just dying around us. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we're hoping to get out of this at some point.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, I hope so. I mean, this place is being neglected left and right. But that's beside the point, and that's probably a story for a different time because it's the end of the video. And I hope that everybody who's watched this video has enjoyed this video. And I hope people can leave likes, maybe comments on something that we can discuss and we can talk about maybe.
Just leave a comment on
As
like
long as it's not overtly political. I've had that happen before in stream, and I don't need that again because that's very
yeah.
uncomfortable.
How about on this video? Leave a comment on either what game you have, either is your favorite childhood game, what's a random game you have nostalgia for that isn't associated with just yourself, or what's the best video game soundtrack in your opinion, stuff like that.
That is great, great. We're gonna use that. In fact, do leave comments like that in the chat, and we can talk about it next week at some point. If not
Yeah.
tomorrow, maybe Sundays. I've discussed it and floated the idea, Logan, that I would be doing streams on Sundays, only if I had the time to do it. And
Yeah.
honestly, other than going to my father's house, after that, I've got really nothing left to do for the rest of the day, so I might do that at night. Or in the evening.
I mean, you know my work schedule on Sundays, so probably I might record something small on my Sundays. So if you want to do something Sunday night, I'm down because my Sundays I get to not worry because I have the days off those days.
And I don't. So, I mean, it works better for you.
Yeah, and then you just grab me on my day after I get off work and just be like, all right, I need you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sometimes like that.
It
But
do be like that.
But yes, all that type stuff, all that kind of stuff you gotta do. I want these people to subscribe to my channel because I want to push off the goddamn hill right now. I want to go down. I want to go up. I want to get up there. I want to reach that peak. I want to freaking get this ball rolling. That's my hope right now. And
And if you
yeah.
oh, hold up, hey, don't leave me. And if you want weird uncut let's play game content as well, check out me. I'm the Nerdlogan.
Yep, and
You
I'll
better
have
link me.
I am going to link you, jackass. I was just about to say that. Now maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just profit off of this.
So that's how our friendship is.
Well, you can interrupt me like that. But anyway, guys, until next time, peace out.
Peace.